So before I get into this, I want to ask you something. Raise your hand if you've ever had a genuinely great idea and then completely lost it. Maybe you were in the shower. Maybe you were driving. Maybe it was 2 a.m. Just gone. Yeah, that's what this is about. Keep that feeling in mind. So first, a little context. The date on this presentation is March 2025, and I actually created it for an AI community I'm part of. We were doing a session on how to build and use digital twins. And when I was putting this together, I kept coming back to the same thought. This isn't just a cool tech concept. It's genuinely useful, especially for people like us who are swimming in information every single day. The title's a little cheeky, I'll own that, but here's the honest truth. We talk to ourselves constantly. We replay conversations. We debate decisions. We second guess everything. And the problem is we never get a useful answer back. But what if you could? That's the premise of a digital twin. It's not science fiction. It's not some enterprise-only technology. Something that's actually available and relevant right now. Let me show you what I mean. So what is a digital twin? At its simplest, a digital twin is an AI-powered version of how you think. Not a robot copy of you, more like a model of your reasoning patterns. You feed it your ideas, your voice, your way of approaching problems, and it learns from that. Then you can actually have a conversation with it. Think about what that means in a work context. How many times have you spent 20 minutes hunting for a document in SharePoint because you couldn't remember what you called it or which folder it ended up in? Your digital twin remembers. You stored that file 3 months ago after a Tuesday afternoon meeting. It knows. You called it something slightly different than what you'd call it today. It still finds it, and in seconds. That's not magic. That's just what's happening when something is actually paying attention to how you work. Now, the concept isn't new. NASA's been using digital twins for decades. They build virtual models of spacecraft so they can run simulations and test scenarios without touching the actual vehicle. Same principle, just applied to how you think instead of a rocket. The tech has finally caught up to the point where it's accessible to the rest of us. So why would you need one? 3 reasons, and I want to give each of these a proper moment because they're all genuinely useful. First, it remembers things you don't, not just ideas, but context. In a corporate environment, we're all carrying enormous amounts of institutional knowledge in our heads. Where things live, what things are called, who worked on what, and what was decided in that meeting 6 months ago and why. Your digital twin holds all of that and makes it retrievable. That alone is worth the price of admission. Second, gives you a fresh perspective. Specifically, it gives your perspective, but without the noise. It's essentially you, but calmer, less reactive, less caffeinated, fewer options about whether you should have sent that email. Sometimes you don't need someone else's take. You need your own thinking reflected back at you clearly. Third, it's available anytime. No scheduling required. You know that moment when you wake up at 2 a.m. with the solution to something you've been stuck on for a week? Your digital twin is the place you send that thought so it doesn't disappear by morning. No waiting, no calendar invite, no let's find some time this week. So how does it work? It's a 3-step loop, and it's simpler than it sounds. You feed it your content, your writing, your questions, your thinking, just a brain dump, even unfinished ideas. The AI processes that and builds a model of how you approach things, your style, your logic, your priorities. Then you just talk to it, ask it questions, push back on its answers, use it as a sounding board. Here's a concrete example. Imagine you're drafting a proposal and you're staring at a blank page. Instead of starting from nothing, you paste in your rough thinking, bullet points, half-formed ideas, whatever you've got. Just dump it all in. Your digital twin responds with something to react to. That's a completely different mental gear than trying to write from scratch. You're no longer creating, you're responding, and responding is so much easier. In a corporate context, think about onboarding. A new person joins a team. They need to get up to speed on 6 months of decisions, processes, and tribal knowledge. And instead of putting 3 different people into 3 different meetings, what if that knowledge already lived somewhere accessible? Your digital twin can hold that institutional memory and hand it off. That's not a small thing. The goal is that what comes back feels like something you'd actually say, not generic AI output, not someone else's voice, yours. So who needs a digital twin? Who actually benefits from this? The slide covers writers, entrepreneurs, problem solvers, and self-talkers, and honestly, I'd argue most of the people in this room fit into at least one of those categories. In a corporate setting specifically, think about the people who are constantly context switching. You're in 4 different work streams. You've got stakeholders pulling you in different directions. You've got about 11 minutes between meetings to actually think, if that. Your digital twin is the place you park your thinking so it doesn't get lost in the chaos. It holds the thread so you don't have to. If you're a problem solver, and in a business context, that's most of us, think about how often you need to stress test something before you commit to it. Your digital twin can play devil's advocate. It can poke holes. It'll push back on your reasoning without making it weird, and it won't get defensive about it. And for the self-talkers in this room, you know who you are. You now have a completely legitimate reason to keep doing it. So, a final thought. I want to be honest about what this is and what it isn't. It won't do your laundry. It won't make decisions for you, and it's not going to replace your judgment or your experience or the relationships that actually make work happen. What it will do is help you think more clearly when your brain's full, help you organize what's already in your head so it's actually usable, help you move from stuck to something. In a world where we're all being asked to do more with less, having something that helps you work smarter, not just harder, actually matters. That's the value. It's not replacing your brain. It's giving your brain somewhere useful to go when you're spinning. But wait, there is more. So everything we've talked about so far is the personal version, your thinking buddy. That's genuinely useful on its own, but I want to pull back for a second because this concept goes much further than that. At the next level, you've got predictive digital twins. These aren't personal thinking tools. These are AI models of machines, buildings, supply chains, entire cities. Companies use them to forecast what's going to happen before it does. Manufacturers use them to predict equipment failure before it causes downtime. Urban planners use them to simulate the impact of a policy change before it's implemented. Same concept, massively different scale. And at the top end, you've got advanced AI systems pulling in real-time sensor data to model the future with a level of sophistication that was genuinely out of our reach 5 years ago. Your personal digital twin is the entry point into the world. It's the same idea at human scale, available right now, and no, it won't suddenly start running your life unless you ask it to, which honestly some days is genuinely tempting. So the question isn't really whether digital twins are useful. The evidence on that's pretty clear. The question is whether you're the kind of person who wants to think better, work smarter, and stop losing good ideas and good files at the worst possible moment. I'm guessing you are, or you wouldn't be in this room.